Powered by Riverside FM.
Okay, so this week for our Browns Backers interview series, we get to chat with Joseph from the ChicagoLand Browns Backers. Joey! Can I call you Joey? Joe?
Joey. The only people I allow to call me Joey are my immediate family and an old friend named Craig, who's an actor here in Chicago. And he was on an aircraft carrier, so he can do whatever he wants and call me whatever he wants to call me.
Fair. Well, we'll stick with Joe then. But thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We know time is valuable. But how are you today?
I'm good. I just finished. So I'm a college teacher. Just finished my last set of classes, and then spent some time with some friends at a little German mart just outside of Wrigley Field, and then for $5, you could actually go into Wrigley Field, and they decked it out for the holidays. I stood in center field for the first time. It was kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
Nice. They do here in Cleveland. I don't know if you're familiar. They do like the what do they call that? The winter
toboggan chutes and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. They literally make toboggan chutes from like the top of the what are they? What's the word I'm looking for?
Not the stadium left field wall or something like that.
Yeah, it is the left field wall. It's there's a word I'm looking for. It's the stadium seating up there.
The left field wall.
It's the
the bleachers.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word I was looking for. The bleacher seating. I couldn't think of it. But yeah, the bleacher seating gets turned into toboggan chutes, and you kind of end up down on the field. It's really cool. So
fun.
So before we get started here, tell us a little bit about your guys' chapter.
Well, so I was asking if there's if there is a camera, and there is, because I have a visual. And just to show you here, Browns Backers, look at that date of establishment.
Wow. Nice.
1987.
Hell yes.
If we are not the oldest chapter, we are one of the oldest. And I've been doing it since I was 8. Okay, we'll see if you believe that. Man, in those days, in the earliest days of the Browns Backers, before the days of direct TV, you had to go to a bar that had an actual satellite to you get the actual coordinates and try to tune it in. And some days it would be crystal clear. Some days it would be crazy snowy. Some days they were on the military feed. And those games were wild because you got to see the same commercials they run on bases, and holy smokes, they were a hoot. We've been doing it since 87 was the year after the fumble, right? Or was that the year of the fumble? I forget.
It was the year
but we have been so we have persevered through thick and thin, and we are currently nestled in a lovely little neighborhood, Andersonville, Edgewater, where I live, a place called Burke's Public House.
Oh, nice.
On Broadway and Berwyn, I want to say. And we have a nice little our friend Chris Farrell, who watched games there, said, why don't you come over? Because we got to be a little itinerant after a certain point. And, we are no longer the biggest Chicago Browns club. That's the Chi-Town Dog Pound, and they're still in Wrigleyville. And that's okay, because their thing is they want to put you in the middle of the dog pound. Our thing is we throw a party every week. Yeah. And so we have people come by, we hang out. We have always, like our other signatures, I think we were one of the first groups at halftime to do this little door prize giveaway. We always gave away and still do bottles of stadium mustard.
Oh, nice. A staple
which you still can't get in Chicago, so,
Hopefully you never can. Not for you guys, but, I mean, I wish you guys could get your stadium mustard, but for all those other Chicagoans, we don't want them to have it, so that's a Cleveland thing.
Still have siblings in Cleveland, so when I go, I always grab a couple bottles on the way home.
There you go. No, I mean, luckily, technology's come a long way, and you guys are able to watch crystal clear games every week now.
More or less.
Yeah. But how many members are you guys up to over there? I mean, I know you said the other one's a little bit bigger at this point, but I know you guys are kind of, from what I know, sizable as well.
Yeah, we've got a pretty sizable little group of about 25, 30 people. I think, when the Browns win consistently, there are going to be plenty of spaces and plenty of bars. I can rattle off a couple Cleveland bars in the area that do really well, and also show Buckeye games, and also show Cavs games, and also do the draft. I mean, I'll give a shout out to a place called Vaughn's Pub, where we will go for draft day parties, for example. They're not an official bar, but they're a Cleveland bar, an Ohio bar, and they're good people. And when Burke's isn't open, they're a good place to go as well. And nothing wrong with Chi-Town, just a different vibe. They're going different crowd, different vibe.
Do you guys ever do any collaborations, anything in tandem with each other?
Not really. In some ways, they're just they've gotten. We used to be that big back in the '90s, before art and all of that. Yeah. And so, some of our longer, like the folks that originated the club some of them are no longer with us. And so, it's about the games. It's about just hanging out, and and it's small enough. Somebody comes in like, "Hey, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?" And we get to compare notes, and we get having travelers come by. The place does has some good burgers. They have Great Lakes on tap. Honestly, what more do you need?
Nice.
It's a great segue. So where are you from in Northeast Ohio, and when did you move out to Chicago?
So I grew up in Collinwood, 156. Nice. Shout out. Yeah.
Nice. Cecil Shorts was from, I don't know if you know the name Cecil Shorts, but just retired now from the NFL, played a few years, went to Mount Union. He's from Collinwood, though.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I went to, I've been around long enough that I went to Villa Angela St. Joe's when it was just St. Joe's with Clark Kellogg and all the Golics and, all those. One of my dad's best friends, his son, Al Sinsich, was actually the first guy that went to Michigan and kind of created that pipeline. Eventually, we sent them Elvis Gerbach and Desmond Howard and all of that. But I came to Chicago in 1984, right around the same time as the Rick Sutcliffe trade with the then Indians, and I remember that. Just a very quick kind of fun sports story that I think y'all will appreciate. The first apartment I lived in Chicago was I lived on the third floor, and the place on the ground floor was this hot dog place called the Hot Dog Factory. And the owner of the hot dog factory was this gentleman by the name of Dino Skeptar, my friend, and he looked just like you. He sounds right down to the mustache and the glasses. And the reason I mention that is because, as fate would have it, on the second floor of that building was this quiet Jewish kid from New York who was learning to be a comedy writer at Second City, and his name was Robert Smigel. And so Smigel took Dino and helped to create the whole super fans phenomena of the Bears, the Bulls. That all came in small part from Dino, who is still with us. And it's great. And you talk to us. Yeah, I know a bunch of guys that look like that. And it's just kind of a fun. I just like telling that story.
Well, every single time the Bears get mentioned on this podcast, somebody throws out the Bears.
The Bears. Yep. Bears. It's Dino.
Now we know.
Nice.
Nice.
No, but I mean, you did mention, obviously, like we said, you moved there in 84. And it just kind of drives home the fact that Browns fans are everywhere. I mean, there's a lot of people that, even though we still love, even all the people you talk to that moved away from Ohio still love Ohio. There are a lot of transplants that kind of find their way elsewhere. But they, that love for the Cleveland Browns kind of never dies, and you have that camaraderie all over the place. And so, as far as our interviews with the Browns backers, I mean, that's what it's all about, is the fans that are everywhere. But then the other side of it is the community service and charity work that you guys are kind of involved with, that we want to highlight. And so with that being said, I mean, when you guys get together every week, is there any community service or charity work that you guys are involved with?
Yeah, so we're in a really kind of a very cool neighborhood. Andersonville specifically is a very prominent LGBTQ neighborhood. So last year we do like a 50-50 raffle every week, and so we designate a group. And there was a group called the Test Positive Action Network. They're all about making sure, HIV testing and such, and we raised money for them. We have a great local food bank, Care for Real, that we raise money and funding for. We have a fantastic little place called Felines and Canines, where you can adopt dogs and cats, and they have a relationship with Pound in Alabama. And we do that. And so especially as we get into the holidays, we're certainly working with Care for Real. We're definitely working with Felines and Canines. And then this year, Chicago is one of those cities that have been getting a lot of immigrants kind of coming up by the busload from Texas. And so it's been a big issue of trying to find housing for them and temporary housing. So in our neighborhood, we have a National Guard armory, which is acting as a temporary shelter. I mean, just people in cots while we try to find housing for them. And so we have been doing a warm clothing drive for them, since a lot of them don't come with a lot of warm clothes when they get to Chicago. And Chicago's been a very gentle fall so far. So we are helping them with a warm clothing drive. We'll be doing that periodically. We're going to be raising some money for Care for Real. I don't know how they work in Cleveland, but in food banks, sometimes they get overloaded with canned goods, and sometimes they, you try to give them cash cards for grocery stores. So we just decided, let's just raise as much money as we can, cut them a check. They can buy what they need and disperse it where they need to. So we're lucky that in this neighborhood we have so many really local groups that we can work with, and we do.
That's really awesome. So, are you able to fund all those different charities with just like 50-50 drawings during your weekly games and events, or do you guys do anything like outside of that to try and raise money or like merchandise sales?
We're working next year. Next year, we want to do a much broader sort of season long fundraising. We're talking with the owners of Burke's so that we can get the entire bar involved, because they have Bears games, but they'll put different TVs on, so other fans will get to come in. I mean, we've befriended a few Minnesota Vikings fans. Bears fans are actually generally pretty respectful of Browns fans. I think they see us as kindred spirits in a lot of different ways. The Test Positive Action Network is a group that Burke's raises money for throughout the year as well. So I know last year we did. We were hoping to do some Cavs playoffs games, but they didn't help us by bowing out in the first round as quickly as they did.
Yeah.
I think
they're off to kind of a rocky start this season too. So.
I'm watching them. They just so many injuries. They can't seem to build a lot of momentum yet.
We like to do that in Cleveland. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tradition. But but the Cavs are they're fun to root for. They're young enough that you can kind of still see where they're going to go. We can certainly. I imagine we'll probably do some Guardians games at White Sox Park, because that's going to be an easy park to get tickets for this year. Cubs are a little trickier because it is the Cubs. And no, there actually isn't a lot of angst with the Cubs in the 2016 World Series. I know I gave them a pass because LeBron won in 2016
That did make it easier.
Yeah, okay, you got yours. If it happens again, sorry, it's like all Cleveland this year. But again, the Guardians do what they do, and you just kind of roll with it. And it's baseball, so you just kind of kick back. And,
you mentioned the 2016 World Series. We just like to harp on the rain delay conspiracy here.
Oh God, yeah.
We had all the momentum, and all of a sudden we got called rain delay, even though it lasted like 5 minutes. So,
well, I mean, Tito Francona damn near won that series with 2 decent pitchers, spit, and duct tape. I mean,
well, that's what would have made it so special, because coming off the Cavs victory, I mean, to have that run that they did, and just the way that Game 7 played out, man, it would have been nice to have. But to your point, at least we got one.
At least we got one, and it's fun because I can taunt Bulls fans by saying I will put that 2016 title above both three-peats. I think when you look at what LeBron had to do, the team he had to beat, the 3-1 deficit, and then what they did in response by bringing in Kevin Durant, I think that tops either of those three-peats. And I will defend that hill, man.
There's that meme that goes around every so often that it's like, you'll tell your kids that they needed these 4 guys just to beat this one guy, and they won't believe you. And that's exactly what it was. It was kind of, when they brought in Durant the following offseason, I thought that was just the ultimate sign of like respect for LeBron. Like, you are legitimately that good that this is the team we need to put together to beat you.
And they were already coming off 73-9 or whatever, whatever the
73
ridiculous record was. So.
And the year before, it was like Kyrie Irving was in for half a game. Kevin Love was out.
Yeah,
I mean, the year before that, they were both hurt, weren't they?
Yeah. Like we had to win with
different.
Vinny Deladova. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, there we go. Kind of back to your guys' things and what you have going on here. Are there any events that you guys are hosting or looking forward to, maybe in the off season?
I think, we always do a draft day of some sort, which again is weird because there hasn't really been a draft day for the last 2 years and won't be this year.
Those first couple rounds.
But something, as we were going through the aggravation of seeing Kevin Stefanski try to be the smartest guy on the field, which he loves to do a couple times a game, that at one point I look at my friend Steve, who's been with us, we've been kind of the last 2 survivors of the original group, and we were like, this is still a hell of a lot better than the 0-16 year. Like,
that's true.
We'll still take this any damn day. So we'll do something on the draft. I think we've got to start thinking of something special to do for the playoffs. Although I have read that there's a chance it could be the Peacock game, and if it is, some of the bars can't show Peacock. Like they get one playoff game.
Yeah,
they get one exclusive playoff.
I feel like Cleveland fans might riot if we get the Peacock game, because
especially if we play Jacksonville. I mean, we won, so we kept the bottles in our hips this game, but I think, I don't know. If I had to put money on it, I'd say Cleveland's not getting the Peacock game because of all the fan bases. I think ours riots if everybody can't watch the game. So and now that Joe Flacco is turning into a story, I think there are going to be a lot of people that want to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So, it's kind of a good segue because we're bleeding into the football side of things.
Real quick, I was going to ask though, do you have anybody coming in, I guess, in town this week for the game? Like, do you have anybody traveling?
We never know, which is part of the beauty of it. We are always listed, and we always get a couple calls of, hey, can we get some over here? Especially because, like, again, you go to Wrigley Field. You've got the Chris Kindle Mart and Winterfest, and it's still crazy busy. And so we're like, yeah, we got parking. Come on up here. It'll be a lot more relaxed. So we just kind of, and again, one of our favorite things, like, where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? And so we never know. We don't have celebrities coming in.
Just kind of roll with it.
We just keep the door open. Now this week will be interesting because it's obviously going to be a local game, so they'll be on locally. There will, being Christmas, we'll see how many people are kind of so crazy that they're trying to find they may not want to take a few hours, but we will certainly say it's always more fun to watch with a lot of friends. It just is.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, and so now on to the football side of things here. I mean, you mentioned playing the Jaguars last week, and yes, we did keep the bottles on our hips.
Holstered.
Yeah, we did not throw them. But so what are your thoughts on the game against the Jaguars and how they looked?
It was a game I was worried about, especially coming off those 2 losses on the West Coast. I was certainly kind of hoping Trevor Lawrence wasn't going to play, but he did. I continue to be amazed and happy at what Jim Schwartz can do. Because again, Flacco is just. I think we're all going, wow, that guy still has some juice.
Yeah.
And I was just reading that they're just injuries upon injuries and upon injuries, and so listening to Chicago Sports Talk Radio trying to build up some hopes for the Bears. It's kind of interesting. I just think getting that lead. The field goal was a highlight, and I think the last few minutes again, like my friend Steve was like, it's going to come down to the onside kick. It's going to come down to the onside kick. It's going to come down to the onside kick, which it did. And again, we all hold our breaths because we've seen onside kicks go very badly, both against Jackson, both with Joe Flacco and against the Bears. I remember going to a Bears Browns game, and watching an onside kick work right in front of me. I think the Bears scored 10 points to get in overtime and then won.
I was going to say, was it the Tim Couch game? That's almost 20 years ago, where they scored three. They had 3 possessions. They scored directly in a row, and then onside kick, and that was just a disaster.
And the onside kick literally spun directly over the whoever the Brown was. I've never seen an onside kick do that in my life.
Before or since?
Yeah, of course. But at the end. We last week we won. We relaxed. Steve and I had our victory shots, which is how we like to end each victory.
What is the victory shot?
He does Jameson. I do Old Granddad.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's not what I hear very often.
Old Granddad's good. Is it the original? Is it bottled in bond, or is it 114?
Oh, it's the standard stuff. I don't want to go. I am a bourbon drinker, but I normally will do Jack just because I only want to do one shot and that's it. But Granddad that one is pretty smooth. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. That make it.
I'm a Maker's Mark guy myself personally. That's my go-to.
Yep. Yeah, they have a lot of different things. I can talk bourbon all day. I'm a huge bourbon fan, but
we can do that on a different podcast. I'd love
we need to. Bourbon Lovers podcast. We'll set that up later. But
I love it. Yay!
No, so obviously they were able to pull out the win against the Jaguars. Jim Schwartz continues to do good things, but how do you think they've looked so far this season? And can you tell us how your chapter's dealing with injury after 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 injury?
I think the first step is, as long as Myles Garrett's on the field, there is hope.
Yeah.
We were thinking, is he doing anything? But again, we have enough astute watchers to go, no, he's getting chipped every time. He's getting double teamed every time. But he's making Lawrence go faster. He's not letting him plant. That injury didn't help. So as long as you've got Myles Garrett on the field, I think there's always hope. And the amazing thing is just watching all of the quarterbacks. Our group, probably like a lot of other groups, are kind of conflicted about Deshaun. The fact that that one game he finally came through and he did it. Now that we know without all those injuries, was it the Steelers game? Was it? Yeah. Was it the Steelers or the Ravens game? Whichever one. I think we're very happy PJ Watson is third string. He was the one that caused most of our angst.
Yeah, we call PJ Walker the human turnover.
Oh, God. Yeah. And so now, again, we're watching Flacco, and suddenly they can throw the ball, and suddenly people are getting open. And Njoku finally is starting to earn some money, and there was a David Bell sighting.
Yes, there was.
At long last, and thank goodness Kareem Hunt. Like my nephew went to high school in Willoughby South with Kareem Hunt. It's nice that he came back and is doing something. And and also let's also is it Caldwell, our offensive line coach? Is it Caldwell? No, who's the offensive line?
Callahan. Yeah.
Callahan. God, I'm sorry. I think we also just have a little shrine for Callahan because it doesn't matter. He just brings it in. See, it reminds me of the 80s teams where all of their offensive linemen they just plug and played guys all the time. And somebody said, well, that was, in the 80s, they had a very specific type. They liked guys with long arms. They liked guys with a lot of that could move their feet. They just knew what to look for, and they kept finding those guys. And I think you're seeing the same thing because it's funny listening to the Bears fans going, "Oh, we've got all these injuries, and they're down to their third and fourth stringers." And I'm like, "We've been." And we're 8-5. Where have you come on? So
I can't stand every week hearing different teams talk about their injuries. I'm like, if you only knew. Injuries look like. And then we were dealt 4 more this week. So
yeah.
So
they all hurt. I mean, it's like every time you can't be that guy. You can't be that guy. Oh, not that guy.
I know. We have become big DeJuan Jones fans at the ChicagoLand Browns Backers.
Sure.
He's kind of he was our adopted guy. My friend Steve picked him out, and he told him when he drafted him, watch out for this guy. He's going to eventually replace Jedrick Willis, and he was. I hope he better be first team all rookie.
Yeah, I think he's probably solidified. He
played really well this year.
Yeah,
I'm worried about this injury though, because a guy that big, you just worry about sustainability until your lower half, because he was so phenomenal. But man, you just hope you can build some longevity there.
Yep.
Well, again, he's got the right coaching staff to do that because they seem to find guy. Like the guy that replaced Posick was the guy that was supposed to be there in the first place.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and then he got hurt. Posick comes in and.
Yeah, the whole center saga last year was insane. We had our starter that we let go right before the season started, and then the guy that replaced him ended up being Pro Bowl caliber, and then he got hurt, and then the next guy was Pro Bowl caliber. It was insane.
And Pojek was very quietly putting together a really strong campaign this year where he was, by all accounts, with PFF grades and things second overall.
And it doesn't sound like he's as hurt as a few other guys. Because they just
hopefully he might be able to come back.
It reminds me of when Mayfield was in the playoff game and he was like, "Oh, I just met my new left tackle. Hey, how you doing?"
Blake Hance.
Yeah.
Met him in a parking garage.
Northwestern guy. I went to Northwestern, so go represent.
But Joe, let's look to this week now. So what are your thoughts? I mean, obviously you guys get to hear about the Chicago Bears being local for you guys. What are your thoughts on the Week 15 matchup with the Bears? And what are they saying locally about the Bears?
Well, the thing about the Bears has been about Justin Fields. Is he the guy? I think those of us that saw him at Ohio State feel like he was given a really bad hand with so much of the coaching that he's gotten. They're trying to make him a pocket passer, and it's not what he does best. And a lot of questions about the coaching staff. And the thing is, in the back of everybody's mind is they have Carolina's first-round draft pick, which is going to be the first pick. So everything is all about, will Justin Fields show them enough that they don't use that pick on Caleb Williams?
Yeah. And I mean, it is a good question because, to your point, all of us that got to watch him nonstop because we're Ohio State fans, Justin Fields is a phenomenal quarterback. And not even necessarily making all the plays with his legs. He's really good when he's able to roll out, kind of get on the move, and then throw from outside the pocket. And it seems like they want nothing to do with that for whatever reason.
They've gotten him so nervous that his accuracy has just went down the toilet. Also, he had no offensive line at all.
Yeah, I know Kenny's been saying since the beginning of the season, like he's got to get away from Chicago.
Well, yeah,
it's the only chance for him.
It was a tough place for him to land, just because there was so much. It's a lot like Browns quarterbacks that come in over the last 20 years, right? It's not a safe place to land. Between the coaching and some of the front office stuff that was going on there, it just was not an ideal situation for a young quarterback. And I feel for the kid because he's such a tremendous athlete. Obviously, Ryan said, like, we watched a ton of him at Ohio State. Really liked what we saw there, and we're proud to have him as a Buckeye.
Agreed.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for that kid. I just hope that he lands somewhere that is a better fit at some point for him.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though, is they've won 2 in a row. First time since Matt Eberflus has been coach. Their offensive line, it's going to be the 4th week in a row the same 5 guys have started, which has never happened. The defense is the Bears are usually known for their defense. They made them a trade for Montez Sweat. He's looking halfway decent. They do have Jaquan Brisker, who is a really good defensive back, tackles everybody. He's going to be a fun challenge. They're looking at it, and there are even the craziest people going, if the Bears went out, they could make the playoffs at 9-8. So you start to hear some of that whispering. They're looking at this as their toughest game for the rest of their season. And I think we're looking at it. I think most of us, especially with the Browns backers, are kind of going 2 more wins. 2 more wins, and with the teams that we've got, I think most of us are thinking the Texans game was going to be the toughest, but that depends on whether TJ Stroud plays or not.
Yep.
But they should be able to beat the Jets. I still think they should beat the Bengals, even though it's Browning mania. Okay, whatever. And I think most of us were looking at this Bears team game as the winnable one. Winnable
and I'd agree with that. I mean, as far as us looking at the schedule, that's one of the ones we've pointed out.
Certainly, several weeks ago, I think we felt a lot better about it than we do. To your point, they've played better in recent weeks. I think Montez Sweat has been a shot in the arm for that defense for sure.
But the Browns are going to have the better, and they're already thinking, oh, Joe Flacco's a statue. He's just going to be standing there, and they're going to be able to come after him. And so far the first couple of weeks. He has, aside from that one hit in L.A., he's only gotten a couple hits. He's been doing fine. They've been running enough to keep everybody honest. Flacco knows where David Njoku is all the time, and he can still throw downfield.
Well, and I think what you just mentioned, I think, is the biggest reason why he hasn't been sacked very often is because I think especially as he learns the offense, he's like, where's my tight end? Because anytime I'm in trouble, I'm going right to him, and I'm not going to stand here and take a bunch of hits from everybody.
To that point, he's hit Harrison Bryant a couple times too.
That's what I mean. Doesn't matter who the tight end is. Where's my tight end so that I have that security blanket if people were bearing down on me.
And you still see the Browns with direct snaps to wide receivers. There were a couple packages with DTR. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a couple more of those. Again, knowing Stefanski, though, we fear for the option to DTR and the pass to Flacco. Like that's
the old negative 20.
Double reverse.
Yeah.
Well, that was the PJ Walker specialty.
Yeah. We harp on it, though. We say at least once a week we run some sort of reverse or some sort of trick play that has a difficulty level of about 100 out of 10, and we end up with negative 20 yards. Or
go that way. That's the way you're supposed to go.
Or if it goes well, we get 9 yards out of it, which is that's a bad risk reward if you ask me. But no, but with all this being said, obviously, the Bears have won a couple in a row. Oh, the dog! There it is.
The dog.
There it is.
What's the dog's name?
His name is Fagin. I named my pets after 70s rock figures, so it's named after Donald Fagen from Steely Dan.
Nice. But no, with the Bears winning a few games in a row. The Browns bouncing back against the Jaguars. What are your thoughts? Like, what do you think is going to happen in this game? And obviously, we're going to ask you, what is your score prediction for the Browns versus the Bears?
Man, I haven't done a score prediction in a long time. I do expect the Browns to win. I do think playing at home is a huge factor. I think it'll be fun for Fields because I think he remembers those 7 sacks, and he's going to try to pull that off. I'm going to say 24-14. And I've been saying this because I'm trying to will it to happen. The one thing Myles Garrett is yet to do is score off a turnover. So I'm going to keep saying Myles Garrett will score off a turnover, and I will keep saying it until he does.
Do you just keep putting money on it?
I do keep, like, whenever he's back there and we're going strip sack, it's like he can get an interception too. He can return the fumble too. He hasn't done it yet.
Yep. No, I like the 24-14. I think that's honestly probably where a lot of people's heads are at right now, where, maybe there's some fight, but overall the Browns should be the better team and they should win this game. So I think that's kind of where a lot of people's heads are at.
Yeah, they're going to be better coached. I still trust their offensive line. I mean, until Flacco proves that they can actually hit him before he throws, he's smart enough to let it go. And, you are a little nervous about Justin Fields running. So my guess but they don't have anybody else. So my guess is JOK is his shadow.
Yeah.
And Schwartz is just going to go, you don't let him out of your sight, period. That's your guy the entire game.
Yep. I would agree. I would definitely agree. Now, I will say before we get going here, I do want to say that we are sponsored by who, Kenny?
Seaside Events.
As the official cruise event provider of the Cleveland Browns and organizer of the Browns Fan Cruise. And so with that in mind, they did run a competition for Browns backers. However, that it has closed. If they haven't announced the winners yet, they will be doing that soon. But I do want to say we, Burning River Sportscast, will be emceeing several events aboard the ship, and there will be 17 alumni joining the cruise that the fans will kind of get to mingle with like they're normal people. You see them on the ship, you have a conversation with them. So for anybody that hasn't booked yet, please go ahead and check that out. And if you want to have a lot of fun in March of 2024, come set sail with us.
And there's still a promotional deal going right now, too, where you get some cash back on your ticket if you book now. So definitely get those cabins booked.
And so, Joe, is there anything else that you would want to say to Cleveland fans? I mean, you're a transplant yourself, so is there anything you want to say to Cleveland fans that maybe have moved away from Northeast Ohio or missing their fellow Browns fans and are potentially thinking about joining a Browns Backers chapter out there?
Well, I think, like I said, we have been around a long time. We have a lot of history. We have a lot of fun. We are laid back. My attitude is always, we're throwing a party. We give away silly prizes at the half. We do the 50-50. Like I say, we're building towards something a little grander as we get into next year, 24. But we are a fun group. We are a laid back group. If you got some kids, bring some kids over. We are clean. We don't work blue. And Berks is a really comfortable place. Nice food. You can, again, it's a parkable neighborhood in Chicago, which is not always the case. And like I say, come have some fun. We'll be, like I said, we'd probably do a Cavs game here and there, maybe a Guardians game here and there. Even NCAAs, I actually went to undergrad at Cleveland State, and like the Cleveland State women made the NCAAs and Northwestern men made the NCAA. So it was the first time in my life both schools were in the show. And that was a blast, and we'll do some watch parties there. And Chicago's a great town. It's no Cleveland, but Chicago's a great town. You will have a good time. We would love to have you. Like I say, we will tip Great Lakes Christmas Ale on tap, and y'all can do a victory shot with us.
There you go. And one final thing we'd like to mention is the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline. So, Kenny, tell them about the Hot Take Hotline.
Absolutely. So we do have a voicemail box set up that we call the Hot Take Hotline here at the Burning River Sportscast. And each week we invite fans to call in before, during, after the game. Let us know your thoughts. If you're happy, you're angry, you're sad, whatever it may be, any time of the week. Let us know. Call in with your hot takes. If you have things you need to say, things you want to tell us about Kevin Stefanski's play calling or the personnel groupings or how the defense is playing. Let us know. We want to hear it, and then we take the best takes and we put them on our show each week and react to them. So just something that's a little bit fun to do, and if it's something you want to make your group a prize to, maybe we get some phone calls in from the Chicago area this week, and that number is 330-227-8080. We'll put it on the screen here so that when this releases, people know. But that is the number to the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline.
Yep. And so, Joe, it has been great having you.
Can I ask Joe two real quick questions?
You got another question?
Just before
Let's
we go.
keep it going.
Well, we're having such a good time with Joe. Joe, I want to ask you two more questions. Joe, you mentioned you were in education. What do you teach?
I teach freshman composition and public speaking.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Perfect. And then being that you are a Chicago guy now, a Cleveland/Chicago guy, do you have a favorite pizza place out in Chicago?
Ooh.
It all depends on what kind of pizza. If you are talking about what the tourists considered Chicago-style pizza, which is the stuffed pizza, I'm actually a fan of Lou Malnati's. But if you think of what actual Chicagoans think of Chicago pizza, which is called tavern cut, which is thin pizza cut in squares, because that used to be, they used to bring it out at bars so you could grab a couple and then you'd get thirsty and you'd buy another couple beers. My favorite thin crust tavern pizza is at a place called Pat's. Pat's Pizza.
Nice. Where's Pat's at? Is that downtown?
Pat's Pizza is on Lincoln near Diversey.
Okay.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, to check that out next time we're in town. But
Absolutely.
Just a big pizza guy. So I'm always curious to hear from the guys that are like in New York, Chicago, because there's so many different answers, and it's like I just want to find the best pizza.
It is. It's one of the greater debates you have in Chicago, and there are sometimes bad pizza, but usually there are no losers.
Yep,
for sure.
I would agree with that. Pizza's delicious. No, but once again, Joe, it's been great having you. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and we hope to one day make it out to Chicago, maybe get some pizza, and join you guys for a Browns game.
We would love to have you. We'll roll out the welcome mat or the banner, as I'm going to unfurl one more time, just because.
There we go.
That is quite the banner.
It's like the original Browns Backers logo too, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah. Hell yes.
Well, that's sort of that there, right there.
Yep.
See that?
Very cool.
And, because we actually have the occasional debate over brownie. I'm a fan, but not everybody is. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Hagen.
I'm a big fan.
Haters.
I am too.
Yeah.
It's unique, It's one of those things that's uniquely Cleveland.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But hey, Joe, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Likewise. Thanks for having me. This is the ChicagoLand Browns Backers, and you're listening to the Burning River Sportscast. Go Browns!